introduce to you, recording that. Thank you, Harvinder, for recording it as well. I'd like to also introduce to you Brendan Merrick, who is the CEO of the New World Alliances. Brendan's based in Australia, and he's going to talk to us about the New World Alliances this evening. Thank you, Brendan. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, hi everyone, and how's everybody tonight? Okay, the first thing, how many new people do we have here? If you're a new person, please just put up your hand so I can see how many new people there are in this call.
Say that not everybody's on camera, so we can't see your hand if you're putting it up. So if you'd like to put your cameras on, please.
I've
And put
invited
your
6 people
hands,
today, so
that'd be great.
quite a few people there.
Do you mean you haven't done the training?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're
You
new to
haven't
New World Alliances.
new to New World
Okay.
Alliances.
Yeah, quite new.
All right, so what I'll do is I'll just give you a short background, okay? Then I'll go into the trigger word, the United Nations. I'll cover that so that everybody puts their crucifixes and their vampire stakes and everything in their bags. And I say that quite funnily because the United Nations is a trigger word. So is the WHO, so is the WEF. And in absolute honesty, if someone says to you, what are the New World Alliances? I say, well, you know the WHO, the UN, the WEF, we are the absolute polar opposite to exactly what they do, and we're a thorn in their side. That's the actual truth. I'll explain to you how that came about and how we're operating in a level where we're in the UN but not of the UN, and it has driven them crazy that they even gave us this opportunity to put our foot in the door. So this all came about with the old COVID thing. Myself, I've been an officer in the Special Forces in the African Wars, saw the blood and guts and glory and rubbish that was involved with that, had a very high security clearance, and noticed that our cotton manufacturers in Gatuma at that stage were actually manufacturing the Rhodesian uniforms. And the same company in Czechoslovakia was manufacturing the uniforms for the other side. And I was under a strict NDA, if you can call it, security clearance. And that Tiny Rollins at that time was Lonro, was the holding company for this lot. So I started to reason that I had to find a new way of solving people's problems. And I head out on a humanitarian line, but of course that paid very little. And I went into the corporate world, became a CEO 3 times in my life by default, each time. And never did university. Thank God I didn't get Rockefellered. And I didn't get all that stuff that a lot of my fellow classmates went ahead and did the university trip. And I saw them change since when they came back from university. They were very, very different. Lawyers, doctors, pharmacists, all high and faluting, but they were not the same people. So I was happy to carry on my way. I got headhunted to Australia. We came out to Australia in 2002 and went on our merry way and started to advance towards that retirement age. Along came COVID. And instead of looking at retirement, we realized that this world was in a holy mess. We took a card, a membership called the New World Alliances, didn't have a clue what it was about. And we made friends in the north of Queensland with what we call the First Nations people. We'd always been very friendly with First Nations people and Indigenous people in Africa. I was part of the Zulu tribe. I made my way through the ranks there. I knew Krida Mutwa, who was one of the medicine men. And while I was in the African region, in Malawi, Tanzania, Kenya, all around the African region, I was fascinated at the different indigenous peoples and the way they viewed life. So we met with these First Nations people in Queensland in the north of Australia. And then what happened was that they said to us that some men were there, had come and were forcing all their people to take the injection. So I said, what do you mean? They said they're holding them down and they're forcing them to take the injection. So I thought, wow, that doesn't sound cool. We've got our cards. No one's bothered us. So we thought, okay. So I thought, well, look, let me hunt down the person behind New World Alliances and maybe I can get some advice on how we can fix this problem. So it took me about a week to find out who's who in the zoo. I got hold of a letter and she passed me on to Sir Larry Swart. It was the first time I'd ever come across Sir Larry Swart. I had no idea who he was or how he was situated in the world. And I told him the story and he said, hold on. And he got on the phone. I remember I'm using a public orange, what they call orange system telephone with Telstra. Okay, all telecommunications are military anyway. And I'm on the line, okay, on an open line, and these guys come on the line, and this is the conversation. Larry, have we got the Marines in Darwin? And I say, I'm like, what the hell are these guys talking about? I want a public line here. I don't know who the hell this is. Having a little bit of military experience, I know that kind of every single word is triggering. Every single word is triggering. So I'm going, oh God. Okay. So, yeah, we've got them in. So can you sort them out to sort out these people? So I thought, okay. Left the conversation. About 2-3 days later, the people came back to us and said, thank you. I said, thank you for what? They said the men with the helicopters came and chased the bad people away. So I thought, wow, this New World Alliance is a little bit more than I thought it was. Then we heard of a baby and a couple in First Nation people that were up in Cairns. If you know Australia, it's right at the top. On the East Coast, of course, but right at the top. So we heard all about this, and this baby was 6 months old, and the baby was about to be vaccinated, and so were the parents. As you go into that quarantine area, wham, that was the law. So we smuggled in a phone, because all their phones were taken away from them, and we smuggled it in, managed to get a picture of them and the baby, and we created what we call peace ambassador cards. We the youngest peace ambassador in the world at 6 months. And I thought, this is not going to work. Anyway, we got it through, and the parents showed the people in the quarantine place. And as strangely brought in the foreign minister at that time was Julie Bishop, who actually contacted the quarantine place and said, you don't touch that baby. That baby's an ambassador. So I thought, wow, this is remember, I don't know about New World Alliances. I'm starting to learn the skids here. So we managed to get the baby, because what they did was they booted them out into the street and banned them from ever going into an Australian quarantine center, which was quite a feat, because it meant that they would never, ever be approached now to go into quarantine. Anyway, I got to meet the young couple, and the baby's beautiful, by the way. And it's still our youngest peace ambassador in the world. But it was a lesson for me. And then I phoned Sir Larry and said, look, I don't know who the hell you are, but thank you very much for whatever you've done. I don't quite understand it. So he said, 110875, Second Lieutenant Brendan Michael Merrick. I said, what? He had all my army history on his table. And then he said, I've got your CV here. And I said, I've never sent you a CV in my life. He says, well, I got it. And I said, yeah. And he said, right, you report for duty as New World Alliance's CEO tomorrow. And I thought, cheeky bugger, who is this guy to tell us what to do? Anyway, I sat down with my wife. I said, look, something weird is going on here. I believe in God's calling. And I said, I think I've got to step up. I don't know what I'm stepping up into, but let's step up into it. So I said, fine, I'll give it a go. I'll see what I can do. Next day I said, right, I need to know the logistics, the bank account number, this, that, everything. He said, there's no money and there's no logistics. It's up to you now to go out and create the New World alliances with my vision. So I said, wow, okay. Well, with the COVID there and everything, there was no choice really but to go for it because, to tell you the truth, I was getting bored with everything. So I said, right, let's give it a go. And it was all COVID centric. It was all about saving lives. We got a number of people with the cards and they were untouched. They traveled freely. They didn't have to wear masks. Whenever we were asked to wear a mask in a supermarket, we just take out our card and say, sorry, you cannot touch us. We're UN ambassadors. And people back down. Police back down. Even the military backed down. It was a case of this trigger word is UN and the other trigger word was ambassador. I didn't know anything about the UN, very little other than at the end of the wars in Zimbabwe, the UN peacekeeping force came in, well, probably one of the first ones, and were an absolute ragged mess and caused more trouble than the actual enemy had that we'd been fighting. So I kind of had a bad taste in my mouth, but I tended to say, right, I better get studying, and that's how I advanced in my life, was to actually go ahead and learn the subject that I needed to understand. Here we are today in the New World Alliances. And what I discovered is a very, very sad, sad story because the world as you see it right now is an experiment. Everything that's happening in the world is an experiment. The UK is probably, sadly, one of the biggest laboratories in the world at the moment. This whole thing is based on the fact that they have the right to experiment. When they've signed on with the WHO and the WEF and they've signed these pacts and treaties, they're signing on to actually say we have the right to experiment on our citizens. We have the right to experiment on the people. What they've failed to tell you is that for an experiment to occur, there has to be two sides to the experiment. Otherwise, you are leaning towards a war crime because you are forcing people to take services, medicines, coercions. When you say to a person, no, you don't have to take this, but if you go to work tomorrow, you've got to take it. It's absolutely a coercion. Very few people understood this. Very few people actually saw it. Today, I had a message yesterday. It's what we could see was going to happen. Everything's been covered up, and the death and harm rate now for the vaccine is approaching 1 billion people on the planet. It's starting to get larger. You're not told, but I can see it around me at the moment. Even with the ambassadors, I have a tremendous amount of ambassadors who had family that unfortunately took the jab at various stages, and now their families are ill, cancers, tumors. God, it just heart problems. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say it's absolutely that is the source. I can't do that. I'm not God. But all I can say is that you can look at the ravaging going on. Now you look at the next experiment, land grabbing. You look at the next experiment and you look around, you see it. So we are dealing with diaspora, which means displaced people. What is happening is that you've got your birth certificates. What has happened is Sequavi, they have taken that money and they have actually squandered it. That's the truth. So to now bring in a economy into the country, they've got to bring in migrants. And they use their birth certificates now become theirs. That's what the fight is about diaspora. Do you understand that now? So these people leave a ravaged land where their experiment was to actually leave them in ruins in Libya, in wherever you look throughout Africa. It's a mess, and people are starving. They haven't got work, so they get in a rubber dinghy and they think, God, we've got freedom. They scratch every last cent they can find together, chuck their dogs and cats and everybody in that dinghy. Half of them don't make it, but the second they arrive on the soil, they registered, okay, and what happens? You hear they get all these credit cards and everything. Yeah, it's coming off their Secretary trust. It's coming straight off their birth certificates. We know the story, but we can't go into that because that's not going to solve the problem. What is going to solve the problem is for us to join together. And as ambassadors, and please, I must stress this, as ambassadors, right, go out and negotiate peace and trade. Go out and meet the people and start looking for solutions that are not aggressively driven, violent driven. Man, they got weapons they've got sound weapons, they've got sight weapons, they've got weapons that they haven't even used yet, that they could use. They could just basically drop a whole crowd. It's crazy what they've got. When we had the situation in Canberra, there were 3 million Aussies that went to Canberra and they surrounded the parliament buildings. Of course, the federal police are there to protect the parliaments, and they stupidly went and waved the red Australian flag. The second they waved the red Australian flag, they declared war on Parliament. It's an old war flag. Because of that, the federal police were within their rights to defend the nation. So they hammered these machines on, these sound machines, and people were dropping, and it was terrible. I know some people who've had problems with their hearing since then, their sight, all kinds of strange things. Now, we can't get involved in that war. I've been through a war myself. I'm sure there's a couple of you guys who have been. Believe me, it's not, you don't win a war. No one wins the war. There's never a victor. If you look at every war on the planet, there's never been a victor. Okay, there's always a loser, and then the loser becomes the loser. And your globalist fraternity are just playing, they're playing us like yo-yos. And there's nothing we can do about it other than get people to realize that the way forward is with peace. So as a peace ambassador, it gives you that ability to go into the community. You're exempt now from the experiments. You're a declared non-participant in their experiments. And that's the way you free yourself of that problem, is to free yourself from being part of the experiments. So you as a peace ambassador, and hopefully one day a global ambassador diaspora, are basically saying, look, I'm free of your experiments. Leave me alone. I also want to go and help people. I want to be of service to mankind. And that's what we do in the New World Alliances. As CEO, I don't look down. We're growing very rapidly, by the way. I tell you something, we've got countries now wanting to sign peace and trade treaties with us. They recognize us now as sui generis. Sui generis is the Red Cross, your Knights of Malta, the UN is sui generis, the Vatican is sui generis. It stands on its own. And we in the NWA are now starting to get recognized as that, which is phenomenal for all of us and phenomenal for the world, because we're now sui generis, God-given and inalienable human rights, which means we can recognize good works and we can validate it and we can acknowledge it and we can help people. At the same time, we're building up a justice side. We have our Global House of Social Justice. We have the alliances of indigenous nations, which I spoke to yesterday, that want to join us. They've got judges. They've got goodness knows what else. We've got the ICC who's given us their own judge now. Now, the point is that when you take on these violations of human rights, You cannot be accusative. You've got to first and foremost send out an inquiry letter. And there's a particular style that we have called the 5 letters. You've got to create a paper trail. Once you create the paper trail, you can then hand these documents, which lead up to a charge sheet, which you'll be able to write out yourself, by the way, and actually send this through to the prosecutorial section, and then it goes through to the judgment section. I can talk to anybody about that personally. It's quite a bit to go through, just so you understand. We're right now got the farmers' ordinance, and what's an ordinance? An ordinance is, if you look at it as a Catholic priest in the Vatican, what do they get? They get ordained. Ordained means announced, not, hey, given permission. Ordained and then put into a trust. Each Catholic priest is in a trust, so you can't touch a Catholic priest. Hence the reason you find it very difficult to prosecute a Catholic priest, because you're just going to prosecute the fiction. They've got their little lines very, very nicely taped up. So that's their sui generis position in the world. So all we're working to do is to get out into society and be recognized as human rights, God-given, inalienable human rights, people across all sectors of society, which has given us tremendous, tremendous powers. El Salvador president wants to speak to us. The Kenya government wants to sign a peace and trade treaty with us. The Kenya government wants to give us a consulate. One of the old UN buildings, actually. The generals have decided that they want us there rather than the UN. And we've said, whoa, we don't want to have a fight. We'll take a building, okay, but we'll not be chucking out the UN. That's not our, not our job. So Africa has really got a bitter taste in the mouths about the UN, just so you know. The UN in itself was an okay organization in 1946, I think it was, Bretton Woods. It was a wonderful way of restoring the world after the Second World War. And of course, we know it gets infiltrated, it gets hijacked. And now you've got the Lucian Trust in it, which is Lucifer, short for Lucifer. And it's penetrated by Satanists and goodness knows who else. But there are still good people within the UN. And so Larry was looking at how because he works on a different level to what I work on. And he was looking at a way of bringing down the UN. And I believe what happened was, when the evaluation was done, the problem was that if we had to close the UN completely around the world, remember, it's built up a lot of interconnections and reliances on industries. There would be over 110 million people out of work throughout the world, because they built that huge network. Remember, not just working in the UN, but connected with food supplies, this supply, that supply. So if you had to do that, what would happen is you'd have a depression, a recession hit the world very, very quickly. So when we do these strategies, we have to take into account everything and everyone in the society, because we have a beast system. That's the truth. It is a beast system, and it's a matrix, and somehow we're all in it. Now, this is not a lecture on how we got into the matrix. This is basically, we're in some form of matrix, some form of construct, and we have an opportunity from the viewpoint of the New World Alliances to get ourselves into a stronger position where we can build a parallel society, a parallel economy, a parallel existence outside of the old world, which in truth is virtually crumbling under everybody's feet. I don't meet anybody, David, in my life now who hasn't got a problem. People that last year in Australia were doing okay financially are now down. You see more and more shops with to let signs on them. The signs are there that the old world as we know it and knew it is gone, and we've got to let it go. I spent a lot of time in my life trying to fix the old world, and that I've got scars from, like all of you, I'm sure. Okay, I went to war to solve communism, to try and stop communism. That was my beat. I've gone to war in humanitarianism to bring down the evil wrongdoers. And it's never succeeded because the old world is such a crippled society. So we're breaking away now to form this other society. So what is the New World Alliances? It's every like-minded person, every like-minded group, striving to reach their own personal goals with pure sovereignty, allowing everybody to have the jurisdiction that they want. That's the freedom that people must have. And New World Alliances does not interfere in anybody's jurisdiction. It basically works towards working with people to protect them so they can reach their goals in their jurisdiction of their choice. We have many people from different groups, societies that are ambassadors in the New World Alliances. We have a Chief Tangara who's going to the Tahiti. He leaves next week. All the chiefs in those islands want New World Alliances. And they've got a celestial council where they talk about the Pleiades, and they've got great belief in the far stars and everything. And they want an NWA council formed with the celestial bodies. And who are we to stop them? You get what I'm saying? We're not going to say, well, and New World Alliances is only this. We're not only anything. We're open to work with the cultures and the societies at large. We have the Earth Elders strewn around the world with their sacred sites. Well, basically UNESCO. I talk openly on here, and you've been recording this. I don't really care anymore. It's the truth. UNESCO have basically been responsible for destroying this planet, as far as I'm concerned. Where they've gone ahead to try and protect sites, they haven't. They've been behind destroying them. They've destroyed the education. They've made science a religion. They've done everything they were tasked to do by their masters. Now, do we work with UNESCO? Sure. But we work on the basis that when we go to UNESCO, because we have the ability to have the voice to UNESCO, which you don't, or the person in the street doesn't, believe me, and we can reprimand them and we can bring them to book on human rights. And what we've done is now we've counted them. We said, right, you're not looking after the people. We've got our own society. We call it the Outreach Society Alliances, and it's in actual countering UNESCO. So we've launched this now, and we've got our arts, culture, science, technology, all in our Outreach Society, of which David now heads up Outreach Society for the UK and Europe. And Jeff is looking after being in basically heading up the Global Ambassadors Diaspora for the UK and Europe. We're all voluntary. The only pay raise I got last week was 4 extra hours a day. So that's where I'm at. That'll change very soon, by the way. We are working hard now to bring about other lines of finance and credit. I won't go into it on here. Personally, if you want to speak to me about it, you can. It's no problem. But we need to go on a safer line. And just understand that we're working towards those goals as well. So, David, if you wouldn't mind bringing up that letter I wrote on the UN, I just need to, that's the biggest thorn that comes up every time with everyone, and quite rightly so. I absolutely respect anybody's viewpoints on that. And by the way, if you walk away today and you think New World Alliances is not for you, fine. That's your choice. I'm not going to chase you. It has to be your decision, okay? And you've got to make it self-determinatedly anyway. So the United Nations silence and the right of non-participation. This is a letter I did put out. You can get it, David. If anybody wants it, they can get hold of it from you. Not a problem. It must be clearly understood that on this planet, silence is consent. And that is what's happening. People are staying silent. The United Nations' ongoing silence in response to the declarations of the New World Alliances constitutes a tacit agreement, particularly regarding our members standing as non-participants in global experimental programs. This letter went to the United Nations, has gone to every leader in the world. One of your leaders contacted me and wants to speak to me. I'm not going to mention her name. I think you might know who it is, and wants to talk to me about New World Alliances in the new United Kingdom. So I thought, wow, this is interesting. The United Nations' ongoing silence in response. So there's been no comeback, no rebuttal towards us. Like a financial instrument, if anybody deals in finance, you've got fresh cut and then it matures. And an instrument is fresh cut, then it matures. So like a financial instrument starts out uncut, fresh, and then as the days, weeks, and months and years roll on, it matures. So does an ordinance, a treaty, a constitution, a declaration, or even a charter. Every experiment by scientific and ethical law requires two groups, participants and non-participants. Without the freedom to refuse, an experiment ceases to have any validity. It becomes coercion. Therefore, by our declared and documented non-participation, New World Alliances, recognized through our peace and trade treaty membership, our ordinances, charters, and QR-coded registration, the NWA and its members exist as the lawful, ethical, and spiritual control group, now funnily being referred to in the hollowed halls as the remnants. So what has happened is that NWA has been given a clean bill of health that we are to be left alone. So you cannot be held in a 15-minute city. You cannot be coerced. You cannot be forced to take any medications, anything like that. You can't be forced to be guarded by a robot dog for a day to see how that works out. You can't have your bank accounts closed down. We've had 3 ambassadors who had the bank accounts frozen. We unfroze them in, I think it was 48 hours. So all these things are a happenstance of being a New World Alliance member, because you're saying, in effect, look, I am not a participant in your game. Basically, that's what you're saying. The QR code registered through NWA flags, we have our own flag, as within their global databases as non-participants in all experimental programs, medical, financial, social, or environmental, et al. Now, this gives them a problem, because with our farmers ordinance now, we've got a geoengineering clause there. By the way, it's freely available on our website. That if the farmer can prove that there was a geoengineering matter that caused him to lose money, we can sue. So make sure your chemtrail doesn't come over my farm. You get it? So what happens if you have enough farms that come under the ordinance? Okay, they've got to be very careful where they put the chemtrails after that. You see, going after the guys that are dropping the chemtrails just gets you killed. That's a fact. We know that because there was a young lady who was a daughter of a pilot. I don't know if you read about that, who was murdered after she took her dad's evidence of what he'd been doing and was going to take it to the press. God, most stupidest place to take it is to the press. But anyway, therefore, by our declared and documented non-participation, recognized through our peace and trade membership, our ordinances, charters, QR code registration, the NWA and its members exist as the lawful, ethical, and spiritual control group. Do you see what I said about control group? We are the control group in our side of the experiment. So the globalists now recognize us as the remnants. We'll be the leftovers of the society that they're going to ravage. Now, are they going to ravage it? Yeah, they're going all out to do that. I think you can see that. They're trying to cause a third world war. They're trying to cause this. They're trying to cause that. Yes, there's a fight back. And there's a lot of people that are not silent anymore. But violence, please, and aggressiveness is not going to solve the problem. What is going to solve the problem is peace and peaceful banter, peaceful chatter. And I know some of you are rubbing your hands on the table with your fists clenched and saying, well, what about what they've done to us? Yeah, you're right. What they've done to us is not okay. But if we take this up in a violent phase, we're playing right into their hands. And that's exactly what they want us to do. Because now, every time you go out into the streets to protest, every time you sign a petition, you go onto a database. You're just telling the government, well, there's no more governments, by the way, it's all governance. You're telling them who you are, what's your address or what's your email. Here I am, here's my IP address. Facial recognition, man, there's so many cameras out in the roads wherever you go now. You're being filmed, you're being databased, every second of your day. That's what's happening. Preparation for the 15-minute cities. If you look around areas where there's a lot of clumps of cameras, that's your 15-minute city prep location. And as global experiments unfold, and they will, they're rapidly increasing, CBDCs, 15 minutes, restrictive cities, digital passports, and the next waves of emergency management, which will be on its way next year. Our members through the NWA Peace and Trade Treaty, our ordinances, and sheer maturity in their systems will retain mobility rights. You won't be stopped from traveling, flying, boating, whatever you need, because you'll be classed as essential services. Essential services to handle the fallout on God-given enable human rights. And believe me, there's a lot of work involved in that, because there's going to be a lot of traumatized people. As you can see, the society is starting to bubble and squeak at the moment all around the world. There's massive protests, which are okay as long as they remain peaceful. But you get agitators that go into these protest meetings and agitate the people and turn them violent. We've had infiltration into the New World Alliances. Believe me, we've got an intelligence corps within our own organization. We've removed 3 CIA operatives now. And we just wrote to the CIA and said, look, knock it off. Okay, if you want to come in and know what we're doing, here's our books, here's our papers. Stop this underhanded disruption operation. And you can meet them. They infiltrate groups, especially trained, and they come in, and you can notice them they move from one person to another, and they agitate. They tell you how bad your system is and how it should be and how it shouldn't be. And they go from that. You'll see them starting to develop this ability. They're trained to do it, and all they're there to do is break the groups into smaller parts so that you don't have unity within your own system. If you've ever wondered why some are called essential, it is because they stand outside the system's control grid. That is what the NWA provides: lawful, LOREFUL, LAWFUL, diplomatic, human protection, grounded in peace, trade, unalienable rights. Our ambassadors can go out on what we call diplomatic assignments, and it follows the same laws of ambassadors. However, what you must understand, we're not political ambassadors. Don't get that through your head. And if you watch The Diplomat on TV or whatever you're watching it on, that is not us. That is government diplomacy. It's a whole different bag of tricks. We go, and like any government diplomat, you have to announce yourself. There's this protocol between the Secretary of State, the Foreign Affairs. We've got that same protocol. We've got what we call UN entity numbers. And without that, you cannot even think of getting anything done in this world. And that's the truth. You are laughed at, you're scorned at, and you don't have an open door to the House of Parliament, the House of Lords, the House of Commons, anywhere. With you as an ambassador, you have those abilities to knock on Thames door. Council of Foreign Relations, all these different organizations, all bound to push British imperialism around the world and to bring it in and make sure there's controls of money, manufacturing, etc., etc. We don't play in that game. What we're looking to do as ambassadors is to go through to a country, if you so want to do that, and help with the trade routes, help with trade. You've got to be of value to a society to be accepted by a society. Show your value and you get left alone. Would you all agree with that? If you do, just give me a hands up on that. Your value is your most important part. Okay, so support our charters, join us as peace ambassadors if you really feel that urge. Take the next step towards sacred sovereign order of the GAD, which is what we're called, which is why we're getting to a level where we are ourselves being viewed as sui generis, which means standing on our own, which gives us our own passport, our own this, our own that. And being global, we actually are the world. So we operate within the whole world and we work across the planet. So the prerequisite to becoming a global ambassador diaspora, of course, is to become a peace ambassador. If you wish to know more about peace ambassadorship, you can speak to David and Jeff and Harvinder, and they'll explain it to you. And if you need to have more information on New World Alliances, I'll be doing more of these talks and trying to help people to, I got to use all these words because there's so many different: inner, under, over, stand. Everyone's got a way they look at understanding, and I've mentioned understanding in a talk, and everybody jumped up and said, "We're not going to stand under you." I said, "Fine, okay, sorry, inner, overstand." Yes, that's better. So I said, "Good, that's okay." So everyone's got their own culture, their own way of seeing things, and we love to be able to allow everybody to do that. As a CEO, my function is not to command this operation. God help me if I tried to do that. It's to be of service. When I look below me, every organization that we've got and is growing, my function is to service mankind, to service you, to help you achieve your sovereignty and your freedom in life. If we can all work together to do that, because we look at sovereignty through so many rose glasses at the moment. There's so much paperwork, which is fine. There's squiggles and wiggles and all this type of thing. But the truth is, the true sovereignty within you is your belief in yourself. Your belief is when you get out of bed in the morning, I am this, I believe in myself, I know what I need to do, and I'm going to rise above this frequency of everything is so bad, I'm not going to make money, everything's going wrong. And if you carry that frequency, the globalists have won. Because that's all they're doing at the moment is they're bringing out so much stuff, so many experiments that you go into overwhelm. Just look at people. And what are you running into? There's two things you run into. One, failed help. If you fail to help someone or you fail to help yourself, how do you feel? You feel terrible. So that is what people are going through, this horrible stigma of failed help. Just think of who you failed to help, and you'll start really starting to look and go, oh my God, I didn't help my mom. I didn't help my sister. I didn't help my brother, really. And how good do you feel? You don't feel good. All right. So this system is trying to remind you how you failed. Every single day when you get up, it's a failure. Don't allow that to happen. Don't fall into the trap of failed purposes and failed help. Just put coals on your fire. Believe in yourselves. I tell that to every single, I say, no matter how many cards you've got, memberships, decrees, ordinances, charters, goodness knows what else, freedom of this, freedom of that, your greatest power is within you. When we have ambassadors that walk over to immigration, the police, the army, which we call the first line of defense of the globalists, they put this whole lager of defense around them, the TSA, immigration, the fire department, the paramedics, the doctors, all around them, and you run into them, okay, treat them with respect because they too have a family to feed. And remember, they have God-given inalienable human rights as well. We found with the police, the military, all these people, it's the funniest thing is wherever we've had trouble, we've had one of our ambassadors go in and say, hi, we'd like to come in and give your families and your children a talk on your God-given inalienable human rights. And they look at like, what? You want to help us? Yeah, you are human, aren't you? So they're human. That's what we make fun out of it. We just say, yeah, you're human. Our sovereigns in Aotearoa, New Zealand, they are so sovereign. You love to talk to them about sovereignty. Theirs was a 9-year journey. They've put 100 people through full sovereignty in Aotearoa, New Zealand. Now, you want to talk to them, it's Sovereign Karen and Sovereign Joseph, themselves kings and queens or chiefs or chieftains. And they are basically at this moment in time living behind a police station. Prior to NWA, they used to be harassed by the police. Now the police come to the gate and hoot outside and go, sorry, can we come inside? We need to talk to you about something. Do you see the difference of the respect? The respect lies in how you present yourself. Sovereign Joseph went into the police station and took some donuts in there. They were so surprised they didn't know what to do with themselves. And just that little gesture, and the fact that he's announced himself as an ambassador has changed the whole. You speak to him, you talk to him yourself. We're open to you speaking to any of our ambassadors in America, wherever, South America, Africa, Central, East, West, Europe, anywhere we have ambassadors. If you are still in the I'll think about it phase, fine, be there. But we're open for you to talk to anyone. There's nothing to hide in the New World Alliances. We hide nothing. We're going to learn from you as well, because that's what life is all about. We want to be the teacher. At the same time, we have to also be the student. And that's where we head as well. All right, based on what I've told you so far, so we can now launch into the second phase. David, let's have any questions now, and then I'll get into the second phase of the training, if that's okay.
Thank you very much for that, Brendan. That was absolutely brilliant. It gave me a few things to think about as well. Yeah, so as you heard Brendan say, anybody's got any questions, please put your hand up and you'll be called accordingly. So the first, when you say put your hand up, I mean if you click on the heart-shaped react button and click there, and it says raise hand, so we could use that sort of system. So I believe Sarah Starr, I believe you're up first for the question. Can you unmute yourself, please, when you want to
Yes,
speak?
thank you so much. I've actually got a sort of a bit of a twofold question, if I may, around protection. Now, one of the things I think many of us are very keen to do is protect our homes, protect our castles. And I'd love to know that as a peace ambassador, which I now am, and I'm very excited about it, how can we best show that our home is not fair game for anybody that wants to walk down the drive? Is there, at this level of coming into the organization, is there something that I can display, using myself as an example, on my front gate or my front wall to say, this is like a protected place, ambassadors live within it, and yeah, is there something that I can put on my gate that kind of repels anybody? I don't want to come down my drive or talk to me. The second thing is about school children, but perhaps I could ask that as a part one.
No problem. That is where we've got the Peace and Trade Treaty. The Peace and Trade Treaty, when you sign that, protects you, all your family, and also your business and your home. So what we're doing is we're giving the peace and trade treaty to people and to families for free. When it comes to businesses, we are going to be actually asking for a fee because businesses can look after themselves. Remember, we are member driven, and all the monies that come into New World Alliances go towards expanding, the organization. But yeah, what we're doing is, it is so simple. All of the truth has been hidden from you. Your house can be declared a house of peace. Your house can be declared a sacred site. If you look at the Vatican, what is the Vatican? It's a glorified sacred site.
Right.
How many statues do you see around the Vatican? It's surrounded by statues.
Sure.
What does it indicate? We are the biggest sacred site in the world. Don't come near us. What is the Mecca? It's a sacred site. Do you see the influence? So your home can be declared a sacred site because it just has to have an emblem or two that you can put and then declare it a sacred site. You can declare it a house of peace, and that's the line we're moving towards right now, where if you as a peace ambassador are helping people with their human rights in your community, you're a house of peace, aren't you?
Yeah, yeah.
So people enter as a house of peace.
Sure.
It's you don't ask permission in this world. They want you to ask permission, but at the same time, you don't enforce your reality on them.
Yeah.
But by declaring yourself a house of peace. So we are now looking at putting together a document that you can put up on your door.
Yeah, fantastic.
So that just says, because what you're saying is, this is a house of peace. I am a peace ambassador. If you come anywhere near this house with any other intent, depart, because I have the rights of peace. So if you
Sure.
want to meet me for a peaceful negotiation, please make an appointment that fits in with my schedule, because I have got a tremendous amount of people that I am dealing with. I am not part of your experiment. I am one of the people that is not part of that experiment. I am a non-participant in your experiments. And believe me, once you put your peace ambassador card on that little piece of paper and you put your peace ambassador number there, you're going to get much better results. Does that stop someone from bashing your door down with a gun who's an evil intent person? No, because people have gone into churches and committed atrocities. So this is not to stop the madman. This is to stop the system using itself in the experimental phase. So that is being looked at the moment, especially in the UK. But we've had to adapt. So what we're looking to do is, we have got global ordinances, but we're going to have to do individual country ordinances to suit the problems that that country is having. Now, because we have Jeff and David who are online to be what we call developed into consulates. You'll have consulates in the UK that you can call upon. Okay, so if you get problems, you can call your consulate. That is taking a step-by-step process, but I know I've been recorded, but there's generally some madmen in your parliaments. Really crazy. And I think it's starting to evolve where others within the parliament are actually starting to see that on all sides, that they cannot continue operating the way they're operating. But we're not political, so we don't take sides. We just observe. I've had one of your very, very, not Farage, by the way, but I've had one of your very powerful politicians contact me and wants to negotiate. and wants to know what she can do for the people. I think you know who I'm talking about. So yeah, so there are changes coming, okay, and we can affect these changes by me having negotiation talks with this person, and then for goodness sake, handing her over to your council, to your NWA council, to deal with her and speak with her and get and negotiate with her. You get what I'm saying? It's what we want to do. We want to go into every council. I'm going to get a list of all the councils, and we're going to announce to every council in the UK that our peace ambassadors are not part of the experiment, and that if we have a list we can furnish in that area, we'll just let them know that, look, we've warned you. We've put you on notice that that is the situation, and that's where we could take it from there. We do need to get you to understand that this takes a little bit of time because we are understaffed very badly. A lot of us are carrying a lot of the weight. This is not an ego thing. This is just a fact, all right? And that we are building as we go along more and more people that want to help. Now, if you don't want to help because you've got other things to do, that's okay. We don't look down on anybody because we understand everybody's got different problems, different lives to live. We don't interfere in that. But we're looking for ways and means to bring about the sanity in the area so that you don't have to keep calling up and saying, my car's going to get impounded, my meter's being ripped off the wall. All these crazy things. We just don't need them in our lives. We've got much more bigger problems to worry about than that, which is to put some nice money in our bank accounts, to have a good business, to have a lot of fun, to be able to go and watch the football in peace, to do things in life that we enjoy. And that's what we want to see within NWA as well, people enjoying themselves and their community around becoming peaceful. I mean, it's not that difficult. And it's not too idealistic either. We don't worry about the person's religion or their faith, or we work with everyone, anyone. We're able to do that. Today, if I've got enough time, I'll be able to read you a document that shows some of all the different ancient writings, sacred writings, natural writings, divine laws that we base the NWA on, which is preceding anything that the commercial law courts can bring in. Don't go into their jurisdiction to fight them. You'll lose every time. You just can't beat them because they're unbeatable, because they'll just write a new law, a new providence, create something which will make it more difficult for you to go to the court the next day. And the truth is that your whole legal system here in America, the bar, everything, it's sovereign. They've declared sovereignty. The medical fraternities declared sovereignty. The legals have declared sovereignty. Everyone in their wife is declaring sovereignty, so you can't get at them. They can do to you what they want to. So we declare sovereignty in God-given inalienable human rights. Bang, we've claimed that one. And that's the one they did not want us to claim because it gives us high powers in very big regions that they never thought of, if that makes sense. But we do. Jeff is always talking to me and David about all the problems. Oh boy, I wish you'd tell me about the solutions, but the thing is, we'll need to work together to bring about those solutions, because everyone is talking about remedy, and you're so right. The farmers ordinance is going to protect the farm. You can go and read it. Just so you know, the ostrich farm in Canada, I don't know if you know about the ostrich farm in Canada. Well, the government went in and they wanted to kill 400 ostriches because they had bird flu. And this ostrich farm, these two women had spent years and years building this ostrich farm up. Anyway, they took it to court and they're fighting it backwards and forwards. It's going to Supreme Court, etc., etc. So we announced to the alliances of indigenous nations who are joining us that we are gifting them, these two ladies, a free farmers ordinance. that'll protect that farm. So that stops everything. So the lawyers involved with the said, "Who wrote this?" I said, "Well, I wrote it, but it's based on Sir Larry's mentorship and training." And they said, "Where did you study law?" I said, "I've never studied law in my life. I don't want to. I don't need to. It's going to cloud my mind. All I do is I look to the earliest laws on this earth that outguns your laws before you even get your gun out of the holster." Okay. And that's what we base everything on. And they said, "This is going to stand." I said, "Of course it's going to stand. That's why we've sent it out to every leader in the world, the NASA, the KGB, the CIA, the Chinese Secret Service, ASIO in Australia, BOSS in the MI5, MI6, MI, whatever you want. It's all gone out, and we've asked, right, this is what we're doing. So any member that doesn't want to be a farmer, that doesn't want to be a participant in that experiment, can simply take the ordinance, and they are now outside of the experiment. They're non-participants. So their farms get left alone. It's that simple. It's not complicated, and it doesn't cost you £500,000 to take up a barrister, who, by the way, one of the things a barrister studies is in a subject called devilry. I don't know if you realize that. Purpose of a barrister is to actually keep the case going longer to bring in more money. That's what a barrister is there for, ultimately. I'm not giving legal advice. This has nothing to do with legal. This has got to do with lawful, divine, supreme laws written over a period of history on this planet that are proven to exist. Bhagavad Gita, the Quran, the Bible, the Buddhist teachings, the Tao teachings. All, funnily enough, when you do the research on them, actually all drive towards the same or similar point on each thing we've looked at. Written in a different age and a different time, but actually pointing in the same direction. Isn't that astonishing? Almost like they had to leave the footprints for us to pick up and look at the truth. We're not, as I said, looking for revolution. We're looking for evolution, evolution. We want to we want to put revolutions behind us because they are a goddamn waste of time. Wars, we must end them. We must bring crime down by bringing people into a better trading situation where they have more opportunity. And of course, the education system has to be revised, and there's a lot of work to do. Are we going to do it all in the NWA? No, we've got to get like-minded groups, like-minded people that are geared and ready to go. We just want to form the alliances in education so people can get around a table and find the solutions. That's where we're headed. And then we can all retire. We can then retire and enjoy whatever life we have left to us, and know that our grandchildren are not going to wake up in a 6-foot by 6-foot cell being told what to do, where to go, how to eat, and how to operate. That's, in essence, what we're all about, if that makes sense, Sarah.
Absolutely wonderful, Brendan. Yeah. I mean, I was going to ask another part of the question, but if somebody wants to go, I don't know if anybody else got their hand up. Otherwise, I'll happily ask something quick extra. But yeah, David, I'll yield to you to because I can't see anybody else on this screen.
Thank you. I can't see anybody else's hand up actually at the moment. Let me just go through the other screens. Harvinder, you've got your hand up. Mate, did you want to say something?
Yes, I did indeed.
Thank you.
Question arose while we're talking, Brendan, reference to ordnance and specifically to the allodial title, which is on the website.
Yes.
Can we know the mortgages are fraud. We know they're not giving us the deed of assignment, and they've sold the property many times over, and that hasn't been challenged, or it probably has been challenged in legally and outside. But nothing has conclusively occurred. Is there something that you're looking at or you can look at in terms of the allodial title and to put the property in such a protection that the legalese that they're trying to strip you of the title, and because they don't have the right, but according to their paperwork, that we're all uh, tenants in the actual title that they give us because it's falsified in the first place. Is there something that we can do in the future or look at this particular type of ordinance for properties and mortgages that can individual can be protected? Because there's a lot of people, I can assure you, are suffering in that realm. They're losing their homes, losing their properties, or whether it's buy to let or whether it's home they're living in. And it's already happened to one of my friends, and we discussed it. And I think two of our friends, who forcefully was taken the property and they sold it, even though the individuals living in the property, and this kind of fraudulent behavior that they're doing. What can be done and how can we safeguard our homes, like Sarah said, for the future, and the people who are in a sort of a predicament in the legal challenge, what they're doing, and all boils down to, even when we do our GDRP appeal to get data, specifically on the title deeds, and the SVPs have been taken no consideration of the ownership of the individual who actually purchased it in the first place because of the fraudulent claim that they do. Can we do something? Is there something that you can look into, or are you planning to do something? Is there several parts of that same question? Over to you.
I want to actually call for a roundtable conference online with all the parties that understand this subject matter. And we need to have a roundtable to actually get a solution. When I say get a solution, we have what we call imminent solutions, but we need to have that roundtable, because I'm always of the great belief that if you're running an operation, military, business, anyway, you've got to deal with the people that are boots on the ground, people that are actually there experiencing whatever they're experiencing, so that we can better understand, research properly, and come back with a solution that's not iffy, but certain. So if you want to call that, now I am totally willing to speak to people in that circle who are not even NWA. If they have expertise in the field, they're welcome. We need to form that circle and to have it transparent and with a glass table. If that makes sense. It's got to be a solution-driven one, not a problem-driven one. We've got to look for solutions. But my belief is, for every problem, there's a solution. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a solution to a problem. So all that happens with a problem that's unsolved, it's intention versus counter-intention. So we've got to find out what the intention is to own a home and what is the counter-intention that doesn't want you to own that home. And we've got to address the counter-intention and remove the counter-intention, and then the problem is solved. But if we don't identify it correctly, we're going to have a continuous problem because the counter is always there, if that makes sense.
Sure. I'm gladly going to put a team together for moving forward with that. And we have a friend who's on today. He managed to get a deed of assignment, unredacted, a deed of assignment where the fraudulent behavior and criminal activity that they've done is in millions, and they've sent it by error. That's surely something that we can look into and actually pursue in a fashion that compensation can be fought for. Because if we take that to the court, it's a pure criminal activity, and the CEO will, if we, let's say, close the door in or do an out of court settlement, that will be somebody can actually benefit, and we will have a test case there as well. And the gentleman's on the call. I don't want to say his name, but I've seen the documentation. I will forward it on to you, and we'll discuss a plan of action in retrospect to the properties and the mortgages, because you are absolutely 100% right that there are remedies, but I've listened to a lawyer, professional lawyer in court, and Roger Hayes, I think his name was. I'm not too 100% certain, but even he was snubbed by the judge, but he showed conclusive proof that there was fraudulent activity occurring, and the mortgages was fraud, and they did not transfer any money. They did not loan any money. There was no conclusive proof of that. But it's the manner how we approach the individual task in hand. When we have a precedence, then perhaps we can look at the ordinance and doing the allodial title. Because in the UK, allodial titles were abolished because the so-called the Queen owns all land on land and soil, but there are certain land which are unregistered, which we can put a claim on with a allodial titleship, and that's what I was looking and interested in, working with the farmers as well, because that's something that you've already got ordinance already in place, and something
There's only one problem, and I brought it up before.
Yes.
Okay. The legal fraternity have declared themselves sovereign. Get it? So their sovereignty rules. So you have no footing in their court other than what they want to give you or tell you. So their little clown show carries on. And what you've got to do is you've got to look at this from a different perspective. That's why I wanted to get the round table, so that we can look at it from, you see, there's your counter intention. Your counter intention is you have a legal fraternity that's created a sovereignty, which we're not in. You get it? So what we've got to do is create a sovereignty, which they're not in. You see that? See how it changes? All right. So we don't fight the system. We create our own. You can't fight that system.
Okay.
There's too much to fight.
Thank you.
So just go there and we'll create a new system that is based on God-given inalienable human rights, and tackle it from that viewpoint and the laws from way back when leading up to now.
Thank you. Brilliant.
Sacred rights. It's the sacred teaching.
Brilliant. I've got Robert Jardine on. He wants to ask a question. Over to you, Robert, if you want to unmute.
Robert, you're on mute. You're muted.
Hi there, Brendan. Hello.
Hi, Robert.
Yeah, hi. My question is, I believe strongly that chemtrailing is a war crime. It's unidentified chemical spraying over the population without our consent. It's been orchestrated by the government and facilitated by our military, which puts them both in high treason, I believe. What can we do about it to stop it?
All right. Well, we have a global head of ecology, and we've just broken our ecology area down into 12 parts. And one of the parts is a geoengineering section. So you can happily join that. Okay, because what we're finding in the New World Alliances is everybody's got a passion to sort out a certain problem. So we like to create the avenues so that they can do that. Then we have our justice system in place So if we can get the correct information and take the right steps, because if you're dealing with military, there's a way you do it. There's a way you don't do it either. Okay, there's a way to do it and there's a way not to do it. So we are putting the geoengineering side together because it is a very big problem. You're so right. And we have to get to the source of it and we have to handle it because it's causing a lot of problems. So welcome to get an introduction to that area.
Okay.
Or if you want to help from an outside viewpoint, let us know how.
Well, my interest and knowledge base is that the death dust that's coming out the back of these airplanes is nothing to do with controlling the climate, and it's everything to do with about establishing the graphene oxide levels and the change dust, which has been patented by DARPA in the US, which is creating what we now call the metal virus, which is in everybody's blood, everybody bar none. I mean, your blood, everyone on this call has been loaded with it, and unless we do something about it in the short term, we will most likely not make the end of this decade, any of us. So
you're absolutely right.
Yeah, so I'm interested. I think about it and I think, well, it's a war crime that the government's committing and the military is allowing to happen, because these planes are not getting intercepted. There was no meeting of minds. There was no agreement. There was nothing. It's just blatant. And well, I'm fully prepared to join the geoengineering group. If somebody, I'll speak to Jeff because Jeff's a friend of mine, so he'll maybe point me in the right direction. And all of us together need to really show an interest in this, because none of us are excluded from it. We're all affected by it. Vaccinated and unvaccinated makes no odds.
No problem with that. We have no discrimination. What we try and do with our vaccinated fraternity is we try and get them every possible piece of knowledge that we can lay our hands on to help them to get the word is devaccinated, but that's a horrible word, but to get the stuff out of their system. So that's where we take responsibility. We don't make anybody wrong for what happened to them, because what happened to them was coercion, and it was wrong. It was all coercion and enforcement. Yeah,
I fully agree. The point I'd like to add to that is, though, that it hasn't just happened to them; it's happened to us, because if you've been in a building with anybody that's been vaccinated, then you will be vaccinated also. Correct. So it is us all, every one of us. Yeah, we're all in it together.
We're all in it together, mate. And what happens is that there is a group that wants 90% of this population gone, and wants the 10% that remain to be their slaves and their servants. And the 10% will end up in the 15-minute cities, and will be there to service their needs. So I keep saying to people, for goodness sake, there's a fence. What is the New World Alliances? It's like-minded people and like-minded groups. It's not this thing about we don't want to centralize. We absolutely, as fast as possible, want to decentralize and spread across the world, because we haven't got time to sit down and deliberate too much on where we're going to have our buildings and how we're going to put our hierarchy together, etc., etc. We're all about spreading as fast as we possibly can, getting people to pick up their responsibility and carry it.
Yeah. But Brendan, I'd like to just add to what you're saying, is that you said that we have the right to be a non-participant, but that we don't have that right with respect to the death dust that's coming out of the back of these airplanes. We do not have that right. That right's taken from us.
You're right, but we have the right to take responsibility for it. That's the difference, where you can go into the Ministry of Defense as a global ambassador diaspora under protection. Do you see the difference?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, you go there as an individual, you'll disappear.
yeah.
I don't mean physically. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you'll disappear in their books. It's like, who are you? You know,
No, I
who's this?
understand, mate. I understand. Yeah.
So we have the ability to put together a diplomatic assignment. Remember, we're dealing with human rights. If we can prove that it's a violation of God-given inalienable human rights, and we take it up at that level, we can take this right up to the Club of Rome. We can take this right up to the Trilateral Commission. We can take this anywhere we want to. But I
Okay.
just want to read you the latest statement, just so we could all wake up. This came from Sir Larry himself. I was just amazed. Just make sure I've got it here. Just give me a chance, please. If you look at my signal, there's so many. That the Club of Rome have just met. And by the way, we now have an into the Club of Rome, which means we can be in the Club of Rome, but not of it, which is also infuriating them, because we've got a voice in there, but that's a hive and a half. My God. Okay. Just let me get a chair. I'll have, if I can't find it immediately, I'll have to get it. But it was basically, the situation was that the Club of Rome basically was saying that war is much more profitable than peace. So their attitude was that peace is not profitable and it will not help the world in any way to obtain balance. War is going to definitely help the economies of the world. So we're up against it. Okay, so within the Club of Rome, we basically now have to go and present our actual dissertation and our findings and prove that peace is profitable. You understand what we've got to do. You cannot sit back and allow these people to make decisions for the world, because it's all made up at the Club of Rome and the Club 300, etc., etc. And all these people are, excuse me, is misinformed globalists who travel around the world in Learjets and don't see what we're going through and don't really care, if you want to know the truth. So we've got to put our viewpoint across. Now, I can get us into the Club of Rome. It's not a problem to say what we have to say, but we have to come together as a unity. We have to show professionalism. We have to show organization, so that we're an organized body of individuals that care. And we've got to grow in numbers. So we've got to show more and more peace ambassadors across the world, because it works in numbers. It works in the fact that more and more people are aspiring to become peace ambassadors, global ambassadors, diaspora, within the New World Alliances. Now, what we can do, Robert, is actually get you up to the level of being the global ambassador diaspora for geoengineering for UK and Europe. That's easy. That can be done. But then it's up to you and your team that you bring on to build, and all the other geoengineering ambassadors around the world, to join together. We have amazing technocrats. We have people with new inventions like you cannot believe around the world that we can link you up to. This is all about linking up. Someone said to me, this is a humanitarian LinkedIn. I said, call it what you want, but it's an open door. We've got an open door, back door policy. Come through the front door. You want to leave by the back door, come back in the front door again. It's up to you. It's your level of responsibility, and every ounce of help we will give you to obtain your goal. We don't just say, well, go out, go forth and multiply. You know, we're a team. It's working in teamship, working together. And we'll have an individual conversation on it, because I am not an expert in geoengineering. And so we can't be experts in all different fields, thank God. Otherwise, we'd have heads the size of I don't know what. So
yeah, it's Jeff. It's just the principle of it. I mean, it's a crime. They are.
oh yeah,
Somebody is spraying unidentified chemicals on us, which is germ warfare, as far as I can see. And
yeah.
we've got a government paying for it and allowing it, and we've got a military who's not defending us for it. And every single one of us is loaded with the graphene oxide, with all the heavy metals, and with all the change dust, aka from DARPA in the US, all created by them as a fifth generation geo-engineered weapon. So I think, yeah, I'm interested in meeting with people and trying to get some practical way forward to at least hold them to account for it.
No
because
problem.
it avoids none of us. I mean, even I've got a microscope, dark field microscope, and I know that even my child, who's unvaccinated from birth, is loaded with it, and we're trying to get it out of him, but it's not easy to get out of your blood. So it's a pressing question even for the NWA, because if we don't get this fixed, there will be nobody to be in the NWA very soon.
Robert, you're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. So we understand.
Yeah,
so
yeah, good. Yeah,
join us. Join us.
Yeah,
and
well, I am. I've joined you. I've paid the money. I've never printed the things because I'm still trying to scratch my head wondering what this is about. But this is the second or third meeting I've been on. It's starting to come clearer now, and Jeff will support me through my understanding journey as well, perhaps. So, I'm fully on board with you guys. It's just not knowing exactly what it is and what I can do with it. It's the thing,
We've got to get you up to global ambassador diaspora now, up to that level, which gives you more diplomatic clout.
Yeah, well, I'll speak to you about it, Jeff, or yourself, Brendan. Yeah, I'll need to. I'm a careful, deep-thinking guy, and I'm fully prepared. I know what's right. I know what's wrong. I know what's going on, and I'm prepared to help if I can. So that's my intent, and I'll go forward with that, either with you directly or Jeff, if that's okay.
Brilliant. Thank you both.
Okay with me.
Okay.
Next question, Paul Gunson's waiting. Over to you, Paul, if you can unmute.
Yeah, sorry. First of all, Brandon, thank you. I've been great. I'm having a bad day, so no camera. I'm sorry.
No problem, bud.
My issue, well, not my issue, but my passion, and I'm a blacksmith, by the way, so I know all about forging links and making connections. For me, the biggest humanitarian crime that's ever been committed upon humanity happened in 1933 by the capturing by the Vatican of the birth certificate, in that we are controlled as chattel, and we are obviously within our citizenship for each of various countries that we may have connections with. My question is, going back to your jurisdiction issue before, the most powerful document that I've come across is the Office of the Executor. Now, I notice you have that within your documents as well. I have an Office of Executor stamp. I have an unrebutted affidavit that basically claims all my inalienable rights as a creation under God and under God only, and that I stand under no other jurisdiction. So for me, can we not in some way attach an unrebutted affidavit denouncing that where I haven't given consent, I come under no jurisdiction and rule under a citizen, nor, excuse me, nor under the captured birth certificate. And then therefore, as a diplomat, obviously with having unrestricted access to anyone or anywhere, that Office of the Executive fully denounces the Unum Sanctum from the Vatican and gives me pure sovereignty under God and under God only. I'm just wondering whether those two can be connected, because that's my passion. I've been talking with, I mentioned last week about my passion. I've been talking to a dear friend of mine who is ex-military, and there are 2 million veterans in the UK alone that we've got access to that we could bring in under this ambassadorship, where they can become peace. I don't want to use the word army. I think that would be the wrong word, but peace ambassadors to
Yeah.
promote the alternative to what you've just said, war.
Yeah.
They've experienced war. They know what that's all about. They've got the skills. They've got the camaraderie, and they've been dumped by their various, military powers. So for me, I'm just wondering whether, and I do want to become a global ambassador, if that becomes an availability.
Mm.
We're connecting people, and this particular guy who is the chairman of the British forces, he's also got access to all global uh, forces, retired veterans. So that there's must be, I don't want to put a number on it, but I would imagine probably close to 100 million uh, former vets, or vets as they are currently, who would probably love to be part of this and promote peace, because they've seen the other side. Most of us have probably never experienced the war, but these people have. But we've got to get them back to their inalienable rights, which is to stand under God. Now, that's also the second biggest demographic in the world. I'm
Yep.
not going to use Christianity per se, but there are 3.2 billion Christians who all profess to be peace-loving people.
Mm.
And again, I've got a tremendous access and exposure to those people as well, without using the word religion, just purely from people who love God, love their fellow man, and want to help humanity. And going back to Robert's point, there are lots of people who've been injured, unbeknownst, forced to take various medications. I lost my wife to COVID, so I know the impact of that. So yeah, I just wonder what your thoughts are on Office of the Executive, because I noticed that you use that stamp in your documents.
Paul, thank you very much. One thing we've learnt in the New World Alliances is that you are the New World Alliances. So anything that you or anybody's got that can add and contribute to our expansion, our motion is welcomed. Okay, we're not here to prove ourselves right, because otherwise we end up dead right. So we don't work that way. We only work on the basis of whatever you can help with, Paul, especially from your valued experience. And being a blacksmith means you're as tough as nails, because you're dealing with the very steel of life. Yeah, it's amazing that you've just come forward like this, because 2 years ago I wrote a proposal for a project within the New World Alliances called the International Disasters and Relief Alliances. And the whole objective was to recruit every single veteran in the world to form alliances with regards to disasters and relief, because we know that there's weather engineering on the go at the moment, and it's going to maybe get worse. Please God, it doesn't. It's way out of our jurisdiction in that area. But there's going to be disasters. There's going to be flooding. There's going to be all kinds of things. And in its own self, a economic downturn is a disaster. So what you've just said there is fantastic. I'd love to meet the people that you actually are dealing with.
Yeah, well, I've got access to, as I say, in fact, my good friend is the chairman of the British Forces Veterans Society of UK,
Yes,
and he
yes,
has global access. I was only talking to him today because I'll share with you my project, because I'm in the middle of writing a 15-page
yeah,
project. I'm up to
yeah,
about page 8. But here's the thing, I have that connection already in place.
yeah,
Plus, I have that connection of I have an affidavit, a 64-page affidavit, and I also have an Office of the Executor declaration that can go on record as you declare yourself that you stand under God and only, or under your creator, whatever word you want to use for that.
yeah,
And
yeah,
you unrebut everything else. So the
yeah,
Unum Sanctum,
yeah,
I've been working closely with Harvinder in relation to canon law.
yeah,
Ecclesiastical law stands under God and under nobody else. And we've got access to all the canons, of which there are some 3,000. And again, these all go back to the papal bulls and the papal see. And it's basically just rebutting them and saying no. And if we can get all the veterans together, so I'd like to undertake that as a global issue, if that's permissible.
Love it. Love it.
Because
Step up, because I'll tell you why. What you're talking about is now here's the strange thing. We have soldiers fighting each other, correct?
Yeah.
And yet when we speak about the international disasters relief alliances, we have veterans from Russia, China, Vietnam, Australia, United Kingdom, America, Germany, all over the world, who are actually stating they'd join. Isn't that incredible? In other words, if it's a peacekeeping operation and it's helping people, because we're the first people to get hold of is the military trained people, because you've got pilots ready to go, you've got Navy ready to go, you've got who's going to jump into the jungle and save the children in a raging river? It'd be a soldier. There'd be no one else who could do it because they're just not trained. So, yeah, please, let's step forward, because we also have the sight of money to launch this with in the not too distant future either, because people will be attracted to give money to areas where they can see that their own families, billionaires, are not safe anymore. They're starting to realize that as well. Unless they're technocrats, they're going to be left behind. So they're starting to see that they too have a family that needs to be protected. So
and
please.
And I'm also part of a church. Some of you might be familiar with Mormons. We're called the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We are 15 million strong, and we are one of the biggest contributors to humanitarian aid in the world. In fact, I don't think there's anyone bigger.
Well, let's get a peace and trade treaty signed with the Mormons. No problem at all. That way, it's going to open doors for all of us.
Yeah, brilliant.
So you are welcome.
Great, agreed. That's fantastic, Paul. Thank you so much.
Incredible.
Did you have anything else to say at all, Paul? Before we
no,
move on
that's fine. I just want to.
please.
That's fine.
Thank you, Paul. Really appreciate it, and
Paul.
thank you, Brendan, for that as well. Thank you.
Yeah,
Sarah, please, your next. I think probably the last one as well, because I'm just wondering, actually. Do we have another topic to talk about as well, Brendan? The second part,
I do
as you
very
mentioned
quickly. I have to, if everybody doesn't mind, I will just run a little training on dealing with people. Something that something that's helped a lot of organizations that I've gone into in the sales departments, the human behavioral departments, that may assist you with troublesome people you're dealing with in your life right now, and with people that aren't willing to listen to your point of view. So I just thought I'd be able to just leave that little bit of wisdom that I got through my mentors. And if everybody wants to, it'll be about 15 minutes, if everybody's okay with that.
I think so, yes. I think, let me have a look, see if anybody's. I'm sure if anybody's not okay, they'll probably just leave. I'm getting a lot of thumbs up at the moment, so that's really, really good. Can I just say,
fair.
thank you, Brendan. I'm just saying, Barbara, would you mind waiting until the presentation, 15 minutes? You've got your hand up at the moment.
If we leave anybody behind, Barbara, or anyone, okay, you can arrange a one-on-one with David, and I'm willing to answer any questions, because I value every one of you. Every one of you has a part to play in this new society that's coming. Where you have to play the part, only you know. I don't know. You know in your heart where your passion lies, and you know where your calling is and what you want to do. My job is to help you get on that path within the New World Alliances and discover it for yourself. I've had to go to a page now, so my face hasn't disappeared, has it?
No, it hasn't. No, you're still there. I can still see you.
Just so everybody knows, I'm reading off a document. I just want to. Okay, now we we observe and respect everybody's faith. But in relation to this little talk, I'm talking from a parable from the Bible. But this is not, I repeat, this is not a Bible session. This is in relation to the sower of the seeds and the souls we meet. So I want to take you back to a story that's older than any government, older than any system, yet it remains the single greatest lesson on human behavior and leadership ever told, and in fact, how to be a salesperson. Now, every day we're selling. People say, I don't like selling. Well, we're always selling. We're always advocating for things. We're trying to get our viewpoint across. So what the story is the parable of the sower from Gospel of Matthew chapter 13. That's the reference. In it, a man went out to sow his seed. Some fell by the wayside and was eaten by birds. Some seeds fell on rocky ground where it sprang up quickly, but withered under the sun. Some fell among thorns and were choked. And some fell on good soil and it produced a crop, 30, 60, even 100-fold. So tonight I want to speak to you about, not as theologians, but as ambassadors, teachers, counselors, and human beings. Because you're that sower. Every day you go out, you sow seeds. And the people you meet every single day, every policeman, every bailiff, every person, every friend, every neighbor, no matter who you meet in homes, offices, social media, meetings, and missions, that is your soil. You talk about being on the land and the soil. Well, that is your land and that is your soil. The very people that you associate with are a soil. So you plant these seeds. So your role in this world as a New World Alliance's ambassador is to plant seeds of truth, freedom, and faith in humanity in the case of sell benefits, in the case of benefits that can help that person solve his problem. And each person's got something that they have their attention on that is the problem they want to solve. NWA doesn't want to tell you how to go about that. Okay, we want to be able to bring you into a point where we can put you in the pathway to find the soil where you can plant the seeds you want to. But watch out, because when you share truth, it bounces off. You talk of God-given rights and they laugh. You speak of peace and they scoff. Their ground is compacted. It's walked on by too many lies, too many disappointments, and too much noise. So when you go out into the society, you're running straight into the telegraph pole of a mind, which has got all these wires and circuits going around of how I'm going to get dinner, how am I going to do this, what am I going to say to the wife, what's happening, where am I going, my business, da 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 da. So you actually present yourself to communicate via that whole system. So as ambassadors, what do we do? And that could be ambassadors for your TECA, for anything you wish to represent, the Mormons, your group, your society that you love so dearly and that you want to see prosper. So ambassadors, what do? You don't argue. We don't force. We plant the seed gently and move on with grace. Because time, pain, or divine timing might one day crack that soil open. You don't know when that soil is going to crack open for that person. It could have been 6 months ago you met this person and they absolutely ravaged you and said, you're crazy, you sovereign people, you're nuts, and follow the queen and follow this and follow that. Well, evidently that person's not in present time. He's not operating in the faculties of being in the now, in the present. He or she's got all the stuff in the past which is just mangled up, and you think, oh, that person's giving me a rejection. It's not you they're rejecting. Because time, pain, or divine timing might one day crack that soil open. 10 years ago, you can ask my wife, there were people, friends of ours, that called us absolutely crazy the way we thought. Now we're not as crazy as they thought we were. They're starting to say, wow, you knew all this stuff. Why didn't you tell us? We said we did. You didn't listen. And when it does, the seed you left behind will still be there waiting. So once you've planted the seed of Tekka or alignments or Mormon or whatever you want, the seed is there. It's still there, and the earth can still suck it in, and you might get strange phone calls. Suddenly someone phones you and says, you know what, I'm sorry about what I said. You say, what did you say? You can't even remember. Have you ever experienced that? Leadership lessons. Not everyone you speak to will get it. That's not failure. That's farming. When a farmer goes out, he knows that every single plant he puts in is not going to seed. He knows there's rain, there's storms, there's geoengineering, there's governments coming in and telling you what you can and can't do. There's taxes that are going to make you have a problem with planting seed. There's all kinds of problems. So that's not failure, that's farming. You're not rejected. Your seed is simply waiting for the right season. Please always remember that. So when you, as a salesperson or a person that's got an idea, never ever give up, because that seed has to manifest, and just believe in it. Just keep believing in it, keep believing in it. Then there are those who receive the message with joy. They nod, they clap, they promise, they sign up, they say all the right things. Boy, yes, wow, New World Alliances, woohoo, we're with you all the way. But when pressure comes, when the sun rises, they fade. Their roots never went deep enough. So you think this person's with you, this person's with Tekka, this person's with the alignments, is with your idea. Wow, yeah, this guy said he's going to put 100,000 pounds into my business. Yeah, I'm out of this trouble. Everything's great. Wow, we got the deal. We signed it last night. Yeah, we just got to do the NDA and we got to do the commission statements and everything. But when pressure comes, when the sun rises, they fade. Their roots never went deep enough. So the seed didn't go deep enough to root properly. These are the impulsive ones, the emotional, the enthusiastic, but easily discouraged. You'll find them, wow, let's go, 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 boom. Go, 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 boom. Go, 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 boom. Roller coaster. Have you got personalities around you like that? Welcome to Earth. They love the idea of freedom, but they don't like the work. They love the inspirations, but they don't like transformation and change too much. They love the knowledge, but oh boy, they hate the responsibility that goes with it. So how do we deal with them? We give them a structure. We water them with mentorship. We pair their fire with discipline. Okay, we give them inspiration without follow-up. We're always there for them. So the thorny ground, the distracted. Then we come to the thorns. The soil is rich, the soil's great, the potential is there, but boy, it's crowded with people. These are the people who believe in truth, but their lives are so tangled up in the matrix, so caught up. They want to do things, but they can't. No matter what they do, I haven't got the money. I haven't got the time. I haven't got the health. I haven't got the energy. Oh my God, what am I going to do? I haven't got the knowledge. Da, 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 da. They'll tell you, I agree completely with you, but right now I'm too busy. There's going to be a 15-minute city in your area within the next 3 months. I agree with you completely, but right now I'm a little bit too busy. But you understand that your shop could get closed down. I understand that, but I'm too busy at the moment making money. Do you understand that the CBDC might come in and then you don't have any money? Yes, I understand that as well. I've read up on the footsie and the dootsie and I understand finance. My boy, come around and I'll teach you all about finance. You get it? I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. They'll tell you, I agree completely, but right now I'm too busy, or I'll get involved when things settle down. So you say, but settle down how? If you've got another pandemic coming in and this happening and everything, oh no, but we'll settle that. I'll settle down. and you run into this and you think you're going mad, do not even think you're going crazy. Do not have a loss on your mother or your father or your brother or your sister that won't follow your way. Just plant the seed. Does this make sense? Put the seed there, water it. Help them clear the space emotionally, spiritually, and practically. So the good soil. These are the ones who listen, apply, and multiply. They not only receive the truth, they live it, they breathe it, they share it. They ask questions, they take initiative, they want to grow, they want others to grow too. When you find such a person, pour into them, give them tools, mentorship, and responsibility, because these are your future sowers. They're the ones who will take the mission of TECA, NWA, whatever your company is, your vision, into places you may never reach. The true measure of leadership is not how many follow you, but how many rise beside you. We work together alongside each other. I hope that helped you to understand that you have a soil out there, you have all different types of people, and you have all these seeds to plant with your visions, your goals, your dreams, your ideals. Please, not every single seed is going to take. And when it doesn't take, do not look down on the person. Just keep planting your seed, keep visioning what you want, keep your business going. Don't listen to the noise that's out there about your business is going to collapse, things are going to go wrong. Just keep yourself as positive as you possibly can and realize that the soil under your feet is rich. It's rich to grow anything you want until you decide that there's thorns and there are problems and that there's a drought coming, because you will actually manifest what you portray. So always, always talk positively and look positively towards whatever you're doing in your life. Just a little bit of help to look
Thank you,
at
Brendan. That was terrific. Sorry, I jumped in too early there, but thank you so much, Brendan. That was absolutely terrific. I think a lot of people actually get that as well, about being positive. I've certainly, since recently started to be thinking a lot more positive about myself, about my world, my brothers and my sisters, and everybody that I interact with. And things have actually changed dramatically for the better because of what I'm portraying out onto the field from my perspective. You know, and I started off looking after number one, but now I seem to be looking after everybody, which is really, really good. Because number one feels good, so now everybody else feels good around me as well. So that's really my sort of message. But absolutely terrific tonight. Thank you very much. Um, I think
My pleasure.
Paul Gunson's got 5 to 10. We've been running for nearly 2 hours now. But Paul, please come in with your question. Just one last question, I think.
Yeah, it's not a
Thank you.
question, it's a scripture that I just want to throw out there because you talked before, Brendan, about the beast system. There is a scripture in the book of Revelation that says, in the last days, and I believe we are in those last days, is that without the mark of the beast upon your arm or your forehead, you will not be able to buy or sell. So for me, the diplomatic immunity is the way of avoiding that beast system by giving us the freedom to travel, to move, to buy, to sell, to not be subject to assumptions or presumptions and not being forced to do things we don't give consent to. So for me, this is timely. And by being a diplomat, you're going to be able to have hopefully the freedom to go on the land and to grow your own food. That's within our structure, what we're doing. Because the alternative is you have to follow their system, which will be the CBDCs, the various medical procedures. They're now pushing retina scans on everybody. Indonesia's country was shut down, banking system, and the only way that they could get their banking account was to get full retina scan identification cards. So that system is not coming. It's been here for a long time. I would argue it was here from 1933, but So this is timely for me. Thanks for your presentation. I look forward to working with you guys. Take care.
Thank you, Paul. We'd love to have you, mate. I noticed the question came up there, which was, if I can just jump in. Yeah, we are aware of the European laws that are coming. We are investigating those and looking at all the ins and outs of it, and all about aeroplane travel, which is going to be brought to a grinding halt, by the way. And all the justifications are going to be the weather and everything else. But we're looking at everything. And if you can bring to our attention any situation and just write it up and send it to Jeff and David, we take up a situation and we have a special research team that researches the hell out of it. And then we re-research it, we re-fact check it, and then we look at the actual information, and then we come up with a solution with regards to what we can do in NWA. One of the things, just quickly, there's going to be a big move to close down every health store, every natural healing practice planetary wide, because when they did the experiment with COVID, which was an experiment, they realized that they didn't get their target, believe it or not, because too many people had access to natural healing products and the knowledge that goes with it. So there's a big move coming to close down health stores, health factories, natural this, natural that. I'm just about to help the Costa Rican government, which has now been pointed out as one of the targets because they supply a lot of natural healing products around the world from their jungles, etc., etc. From our side, I am right now sitting down to write the ordinance that will stop that. But understand something, please. And this is what people forget. This is not, we can't write a blanket ordinance for the world. We don't have that power where I can write an ordinance or Paul can write an ordinance and it's a law of the world. Never. We've got to take that ordinance, we've got to send it out to every leader, every UN department, everyone, and make sure we don't get a rebuttal. You know the term of tacit agreement. The way we write the ordinance is based on sacred, natural, God-given laws from any faith. Okay, and that makes them backpedal because they cannot take that on. And our ordinance will only go to members. We have to have a membership that comes under that ordinance, and that's the law. So when we sell the Peace Ambassador memberships, it's got to prove that there was commerce so that you are going across to the other side, if that makes sense to you. Okay, so our peace and trade treaties, please inquire from David about that as well. If you know of a farmer that needs help, let David know. And with the medical side, natural healing side, anybody that owns a health store or does a practice like Reiki or anything like this, it's all going to be outlawed. Okay, you've got to just present the people you know about. We'll get that ordinance done. It's on the line. The next ordinance after that is the babies being vaccinated so that parents can actually not have to get their babies vaccinated if they're part of that ordinance. And it goes on and on and on that we look at the situation. So when you come across a situation, please send it to David and to Jeff. They'll get it up to the global secretary. We have a global secretary who will then process it. It sounds like a food, but it's not. Process it through the system, and we'll come back with solutions which we can discuss with everyone. And that's any situation that you run into. That's what we do in the NWA, if that makes sense.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Brendan, for that. That's certainly terrific. Honestly, my mind is blowing now with more and more information, which is really, really good. Oh, Deborah has a question. Do you mind if we have a couple more questions, please, Brendan? Are you okay for time? And if everybody else is here, okay as well.
I'm here to service you guys.
Thank you. Deborah, please unmute yourself and fire away. Thank you. Sorry, Deborah, we can't
Deborah,
hear you
hi.
at all. Maybe switch your microphone.
Deborah's on mute on my side.
You've got on
Oh,
mute again. Right.
yeah.
No, can't hear you.
Deborah?
I don't know if your microphone's not working or something.
She might just put a question in the chat to you, David, then you can just read it to me. I don't want to deny
sure.
her a chance for getting a question answered.
Of course. Do you want to put your question in the chat at all, Deborah? No?
Yeah, she's unmuted, but obviously her microphone's not working. We can't hear
Yeah,
her.
her microphone. There's an issue with the microphone.
Yeah, you can go on to the next question. The next person,
Yeah.
Darren.
Thank you.
Just
Put
let
your
Deborah
question
know she can write the question to
yeah,
you,
write a question in the
David.
chat to me, and then I
Yeah,
can say
and
it
I'll
for you.
take it up. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next.
Okay.
We can next.
So, Darren, you're on mute at the moment. If you unmute yourself. Thanks.
Hi, yeah. Just a quick question, really. I've been looking on the website and what have you, and I noticed that there's an end date for this immunity or whatever it is for December 2020. December 2027. So presumably it always has to be updated, or it's only got a 5-year period. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
by law, by international law, ordinances are 5 years, but we're only allowed to update it 18 months before the expiry date.
But is there any chance that they might not update it if you're a thorn in their side?
No, not at all. No.
No?
It's a process you have to go through. It's not a problem to update the ordinance, yes.
Okay, so you don't see a problem with any of the renewals. It's because
No, because you can add addendums to them as well. It's not an issue.
Okay, no,
It's a mature ordinance. All you're doing is you're basically giving it a new date. That's all.
Okay.
It's a good question. Don't get me wrong. Okay, it's a very good question, but I can assure you that no, they can't stop it from being renewed.
Okay, great, lovely. That was all.
No problem, Darren.
Oh.
No problem.
Thank you, Darren. Deborah, do you want to try your mic again or message me or not?
Yes, can you hear me all right?
Oh, yes, we can hear you now. Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Deborah,
Amen. Hi there. I'm sorry.
Hi.
Sorry, it's obviously a technical problem, and I have tried everything, but I've had a few problems over the last few days. Thank you very much for this lovely opportunity to be able to speak, but also to hear the third meeting. I totally agree about the positiveness about everything, and it's just a strange one, really. I agree also about the health care, as in, natural health, because there are three shops in my sort of area who have closed down, unfortunately, and it's so sad. But then I think a lot of things are being circulated anyway in other channels to be able to heal. So, that's an area I'm very passionate about, obviously, because we all want to be healthy. But is it all right with you if I just read a very brief thing from an angel guidance book, which I'm very much into angels? Would that be all right with you?
Yes, absolutely. No problem.
Always. And it just touches on, Brendan, what you were saying and what you were saying, David. So it's just a brief thing. It's called Stay Positive. And it's basically the most helpful thing that you can do in the face of hardship is to keep a positive attitude. There's always some blessings within all circumstances, even if you can't immediately identify it. By holding on to faith, you can elevate everyone around you along with the situation itself. A positive mindset keeps the body relaxed, which in turn helps you think clearly and creatively during intensive situations. Your bright outlook inspires others and may avert a cycle of downward spiraling energy. Vow to stay optimistic today, no matter what. Always be honest about thoughts and feelings, yet do call upon the angels and your higher self to gain the best perspective on every situation. In this way, you work through upsetting emotions very quickly, keeping a high level of energy and a positive attitude. So it's just basically saying, if you stay positive about everything, and also you inspire others, because I think you have an energy field around you, and it's not always possible, I know, because we're humans, or we're having a human experience, but just to try and stay positive and uplifting as much as we can in these terrible times. And that's it, really. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing
Deborah.
that. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Very welcome. Thank you.
Absolutely terrific. And I think really the bottom line is this is like a war between David and Goliath, or between Cain and Abel. The good and the bad. That's really what it ultimately comes down to. Um, and the way to beat them is, like Brendan was saying earlier, is not by guns, but certainly by holding up your energy, your source, and being in that energy and being in your source. And that's what you project onto the world. If you project peace, you will receive peace back, basically. And yeah, being positive and projecting peace will actually bring your peace back. Not every day, as I have experienced myself, but 99% of the time, yes, it happens. It's for the good. So thank you, Deborah. That was terrific.
You're welcome.
And thank you, Brendan.
Thank you.
I think, well, it's 10:05. Unless anybody else has got any more questions, which I don't see anybody else's hands raised at the moment.
I'll
Which is
just end
really,
off
really good
then,
turnout. Thank you, everybody, for coming along. And Brendan,
I'll
terrific.
just end off quickly and just say this. Look,
Yeah.
do not believe anything I said. You're not expected to. All right. Go out and test it for yourself. Already you'll see Deborah came on and said there's places closing down, there's health stores closing down. I haven't been to the UK, okay, recently. Last time I was in the UK was 2007 on business. And I can tell you something, that we're seeing this worldwide. There is a pattern occurring, and it is global. Health stores, health operations are being closed down left, right, and center. So we'll go ahead and do the ordinance. You can then pick up the ordinance to help people or not. It's up to you. Chiropractors will be closed down. Anyone that doesn't fit into Big Pharma's plan will be taken out of the picture. It's a one world religion. It's a one world government. It's a one world medical fraternity. It's a hell. So we've just got to decide tonight is go out and speak to people about the NWA. And if you don't feel confident enough, ask David or Jeff or Havinder or not here tonight, James Florence, and some people that do know about the NWA to help you. Call me. If you want a one-on-one with one of your friends or something like that, let me know. And we'll get other talks together. But go out this week and get 2 or 3 new peace ambassadors, because what you're doing is you're putting new blood into your community of peace. And as Deborah said, now you've got positivity, and it does start to spread. What Paul's got on the table here with getting all the veterans in the world, my God, if we got that right, Paul, it would change the world overnight, because all these people are the soldiers. They are respected. And they are warriors, and they've got that ability to go into the world and bring about that peace. And how about we make tonight that a project with you, Paul, to bring a new Peace Corps onto the world. Our new peacekeeping forces under NWA will be to get peacekeepers, peace ambassadors in every county, every single town, every single village, every single country, every single whatever you want. And boy, you'll see changes. You definitely will.
I'm on it.
Thank you. Yes, I think we will definitely. I'm looking at a project actually of getting one of the heads of various groups together, sit around a table, sit around a round table, and discuss how we can approach all this from a holistic and peaceful point, using their laws against them, basically. And this is a project that I'm very much working on now.
Yeah. We have our global head of music in Texas, Flynn, and he has big studios over there, and he is he's working to change music back to the right frequency. He's starting to push for that around the world because the frequency of music is driving people crazy at the moment. It's the wrong frequency. It was Rockefellered. So we've got to un-Rockefeller it and get the frequency right. And that's why you're losing your children. That's why we're losing our children's minds, because they're listening to this boom, 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 boom frequency. And it's actually driving everyone crazy. But you can take the same song and tune the instruments into the right frequency, tune everything into the frequency. If you go biblical, you know that Lucifer was himself a musician, an angel of great abilities. So it's all being deception, deception, deception. So see through the deception. If you want to speak to Flynn about the music side, that can be arranged as well. We want to approach all the bands in the world and get them to change their frequencies. We want to get Spotify to start looking at this. So this is going to take all of us working together. And it's who you know, what you know, that you can bring to the table. That's what it's all about. We've got arts, we've got culture, we've got ecology, science, technology, education, if that's your beat. True history is one, because we've got so much false history out there at the moment. We need to get rid of that false history and get people back to understand where they did really come from and what's really going on this planet, and get them to see what they need to do now and into the future. Sorry, I interrupted you, David. I just had to bring that up.
That's fine. Sorry, now I always like listening to you, Brendan. You sort of calm me down or give me peace, which is great. Great. Well, thank you, everyone. I think on that note, Deborah, you got your hand up again. Did you want to say something? Okay, just
Sorry, can you hear me?
go ahead. Yes, just briefly, please. Thank you.
It's a very brief one. Just to say absolutely on the note that I don't know if anybody here has heard of the Maharishi effect. Has anybody heard of it? It's brilliant. Look it up, please. It's about actually certain people, nations around the world who prayed for peace. Guess what? For 15 days, I think it was 15 days without interruption. There was peace, no war, no arguments, no. And do you know what? It's a definite energy effect. People pray about it, and you've got the intention there, and it works. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Actually, there was a lady that said at 21 minutes past 8 every morning, UK time, if everybody sort of did the affirmation at 21 minutes past 8 every morning, then I can't remember what the affirmation was, whether it was to do with peace
Same
on
thing,
earth.
David. Same thing, David. It was
Same thing.
exactly that. Yeah, about peace.
Yeah.
If you all intend about at
Yeah.
that time, guess what? It's resounding and it reverberates around the world. So yeah, absolutely. I think I posted that. Anyway, thank you.
Cool. Thank you very much. I think on that note, I think it's time. Yeah, it's 10:15 now, UK time, and I think it's time to maybe go to bed or go and have a glass of wine.
No, thank you very
So,
much. Excellent, Brendan. And
You retire and I'll have my breakfast.
David,
yes, for breakfast.
David, just something that I've learned from another group. If you go up into the chat, for everybody, you'll see 3 dots. If you want to save the chat for contacts and any references, go to the 3 dots and click Save Chat, and it will save it to your own individual computer so that you can look back at it.
Thank you.
yeah,
Fantastic. Thank you, Paul.
just
That's
let you
brilliant
know,
news.
we
actually.
are everything has been saved, the chat as well as the recording. So
Yeah.
I'm doing that. So
I'm glad you mentioned the recording.
That hasn't been answered for sure.
Yeah, thank you, Harvinder. Actually, I'm glad you mentioned the recording. I meant to say yes, because it's recorded. We're going to send out a link within the next sort of 24 to 48 hours. My friend Sam Allen, who's actually on the call this evening. Thank you, Sam, for taking care of all of that. Really appreciate it. Great addition to the family. Superb work. And so that'll be sent out to everybody that's been emailed anyway, or